Should you be giving your clients access to your forecast, projections, and other CFO tools, or are you setting yourself up for failure if you do? In today's episode of the CFO Report, I'm going to definitively answer why you've got to give your clients access to these tools, but you're going to want to stick around until the end because I'm also going to reveal the number one thing that your clients need from you as a fractional CFO. Without further ado, let's dive in.
Hello, thank you, Michael. So glad to be here.
So glad you're here.
So my background before my firm was corporate finance and having collaborative partnerships with marketing and sales, et cetera. But it was very much the viewpoint of owning the numbers, protecting the integrity, having one set of truth type of thing. And I've noticed that you've talked about some things that you share with your clients and you allow them to use on their own, like with the cash flow forecasts, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So just wanting to understand the pros and cons and your thinking around that, and what are those things to share with them, which I'm sure helps with your, efficiency and getting their buy-in, but then balancing that with you being, the expert that they go to.
Yeah. So just make sure I'm tracking on the question is how do we balance between, as the CFO, like kind of owning our product, but then letting the client, I'll use the word meddle in that on their own and play around with it? Is that kind of the question? Like, how do you think about those two? How do I approach that? Great question. And I think you might find the answer is a little counterintuitive. One of the things that I've learned over the years about fractional CFO work is if you want to stay around with the clients long-term, and I mean like beyond 6 months or a year, 2 years, 5 years. Like I was just talking about, we got these clients 5 years. You have to show them their growth. You have to help them grow as an executive, as a decision maker, as a CEO. And with that growth, like what it really boils down to is you've got to teach them how to make decisions. One, if for no other reason, for your sanity. Because every time they think about, hey, maybe I want to hire somebody, or maybe I want to give the pay raise, or we want to move to this other location, but the rent is more. If every time they've got big decisions to think through, they're all up in your biz asking for input and how would you do this? And can we afford it? You're like, I don't have time for this anymore, right? So there's reason one. But reason two is they need to learn, honestly, as an executive, how to think through those decisions. And so from a data integrity standpoint, I'm like, most of this, what we call the CFO report, like they're not in there playing with that. But I want them in, particularly the projections, anything like the forward-looking stuff, I want them in there, what we call sandboxing. And so I'm like, oh, you're thinking about hiring that new CMO that comes, fully burdened at $17K a month. Go ahead and plug that in so you can see how it impacts your margins, how it impacts your cash. And do you feel comfortable with those margins and with those cash positions? You want to pay a little extra on the debt. Let's go ahead and plug that in there and just see how it shakes out, because that gives them that growth that they need. Because if you're always just teeing up the answers for them, you're going to find, like I said, counterintuitively, that they leave after a while, because what they really want is the growth. Even if it's not a subconscious thing that they're looking for, or if it's not a conscious thing, very subconsciously, they want that growth. They want that empowerment. And what a lot of times we tell ourselves, well, shit, if we end up telling them and teaching them how to do all that stuff, they're not going to stick around. They're going to leave us. That could not be further from the truth, right? Because at the end of the day, they're not paying you for the reports and the projections and stuff. They're paying you for your perspective. They're paying you is they've put the things into the projections to say, wait a minute, what about this? Or I see your logic there, but back in 2018, we had a client do a similar thing, and what ended up happening was, right? Or you put these employees in, but what you're not thinking about is the fact that with that headcount, you're going to need another level of management in there, or like whatever the case is, right? They're paying you for those perspectives, not for what's in the spreadsheets. If this is you, let go of that need to control, and I don't want to give away the secret sauce. You can't give away your secret sauce. How long have you been a professional? You carry yourself like you've been around for a minute.
20
and like
plus years.
Your projections tab, let that go. That 20 plus years of experience you got, that's what they need, okay? It's the insights that you bring to those numbers. Let them play with it. Let them get in there and start doing things.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer?
Yes. Huge,
Okay.
great perspective shift for that.
My big takeaway from that conversation is that your special sauce isn't in your forecast or projections. Your special sauce is in the growth that you provide your clients, in the perspective that you provide your clients. Listen, if one of your goals for this year is to onboard new clients so that you can grow your revenue and your profitability, then you're gonna wanna check out this video where I give you some amazing tips on how to amaze new clients through your onboarding process. In the meantime, I can't wait to see you back here next week, my friends. I'll see you then.